to the cloud, and I was supposed to do that for someone else anyway. So we've got some more people in the waiting room. So, all right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Couple of introductions. My name's John Padgett. I am the Aurora District Executive. So for North Seattle Shoreline, Lake Forest Park. Jeff, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself there?
Sure, everyone. My name's Jeff Nelson, and I'm the Assistant Director of Field Service for the council. And I'm also pitching in as the Northern Trails District Executive until we hire someone. So yeah, glad to be here, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah. And then I know some of the people on the call, probably some other people for some other districts and also Northern Trails. So if you just want to jot your PAC number in next to your name, that would be awesome. And that way we can sort of track some attendance and figure out who we need to follow up with the recording and everything too. That would be great. So I'm gonna share my screen here, and here in a second, yeah, you should be able to see the agenda on your screen here. And I also put the agenda in the chat because the agenda we put right at the end of the agenda. I put a whole bunch of resources and everything that we'll talk about tonight. And there might be an opportunity while we're talking where I can type some other resources in there. So this is sort of a live document here. So, but basically on the agenda, I'm going to spend a good chunk of the time. We're going to aim for about 20 minutes. Hang on, I got to let some more people in here. We're going to spend a good chunk of the time talking about how you get the invitation.
Sorry, Desmond, I can't really hear. I'm on a thing. What?
Yeah, if everyone would just go ahead and mute themselves right there, since we're getting a little bit bigger group. We're going to spend a good chunk of the time talking about invitation methods for getting folks to your Cub Scout PAC to join. And then Jeff's going to be talking about, for about 15 minutes, about how to have a good, successful event once you get people there to join Scouts and make that successful. And then I'll be sort of talking about some of the follow-up and onboarding process there too, but we'll be spending most of the time talking about how to get people to the meeting. One thing that doesn't really fall into that, but it's especially, we've been over a year in COVID now. So we have been sending around, and then we can send it around again. We have what's called the drop list. So those folks that were registered until December 31 of 2020, but aren't registered now in 2022. Jeff and I can get that published and sent to you. So just send us an email depending on what district you're in. And I put our email addresses right here at the bottom of the agenda and the resources. So, but you know, now we're hopefully we stay in phase 3 in King County here, and we can keep doing scouting for up to 50 people out of doors. And you know, if you follow the phase 3 guidelines for youth development, we can get, I think it's like 30 people indoors. So yeah, we can keep doing scouting for sure. Everybody's been great on being creative. But as we go through the agenda here, feel free to chime in on any of these subjects and or put it in the chat, and we'll have some time here at the end of the agenda to go through some question and answer. I don't have anything. I'm hoping that we can keep this meeting to 1 hour to sort of respect everybody's time, but I don't have anything to do until 9 o'clock when SEAL team comes on. So Jeff and I can hang out and answer the questions after the meeting too, if we're going down a rabbit hole or something. Yeah, but feel free to chime in there if you, because there's certainly more than one way to skin this cat here. So, and we've been really successful, you know, growing scouting every year until the pandemic hit us here. So, yeah, but reach out to us if you need that drop list. So let's start running down this agenda. First thing you want to do is make sure that you go to beascout.org. Like everything that we publish for resource materials like this yard sign and stuff like that, sends people to beascout.org. And if you were to Google scouting in my area or Cub Scouts in my area, it's going to send you to beascout.org, where you're going to put in your basic geography. And so if we put up the zip code here in North Seattle and click on Cub Scouts, it's gonna pop up the local Cub Scout packs here. So like the first one that came up for search for 98133 at Luther Memorial Church, it came up. This looks really good. We see there's a contact person. They've got a website I can click on. They've got packs for or dens for boys and girls. They've got some information, and I can tell it's been updated because it says we've got some den meetings, to vary by the grade, but we're doing virtual meetings until we can do some more. So it looks like it's been updated at least since the pandemic, which is awesome. And they've got a place to click here to request more information and a place here to apply. I put in some the resource section. If you don't know how to update that for your pack, I would just go ahead and look up your pack that you're serving and make sure that information is updated. In the resource section here, there is right here, this scouting resources for online registration is going to be the place to go to figure out how to update your pen there. All righty. Make sure I've let everybody into the meeting here. All right. All right. And then start collecting some leads. And let me find, oh, here it is. In your my.scouting.org account, kicked me out here. So let me log back in. You're going to go to Application Manager, and in Application Manager, click on Invitations, and then you can see this is, of course, I've got the entire district here, but you can see your pack. So you're going to get a cryptic email if you're a committee chairperson or the chartering organization representative or the Cub Master, that you need to go here and look at this. And so then if I look on this one that recently came in for Pack 850, it's got some basic information. Here's the potential scout's name. They're in 3rd grade, so when I reach back out to them, and it's good to keep all the responses right in here. And then also keep some notes of when you responded to them. You can keep all this information in here. And after you have a conversation with them about getting involved, it's easy to just hit this button and send them an application here. So we're going to be talking about this process because you can use the same process, not to steal your thunder, but we used to, and we still do have these old school sign-in sheets for your joining meeting where you gather the information as they're coming in the door. But it's easy to, there are some QR codes for this link where you fill that out on, oh, where did it go? beascout.org. So if you request more information here, you can send people right to this link, and they can fill in the same information that's on the sign-in sheet and grab that basic information so you can stay in touch with them. So, all right.
Hey, John, can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
This is
Hey,
Tyler. That was my lead. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I always wonder if I'm doing that right. So you mentioned is it better to actually respond directly through that app? I usually do it externally, but should I be doing it through that system?
It would keep all the stuff in one place, but I think it's also fine if you're using your own email that you're looking at more closely to do it that way. I think either way is fine.
Okay.
But like you're doing a good job. I didn't even notice you came in on the call there, but that was great that you kept notes in there too. That answer your question?
Yeah, helpful. Thanks.
All right. Let's see here. So I'll talk about geofencing and as it relates to a Facebook event. So I did create a Facebook event for the North Seattle Scouting Aurora District, and hopefully your local Cub Scout pack has a Facebook site. And it's really easy to do. So just under the create post here, I'm gonna click on event and create an event. And here's an event I created for this, recruiting Cub Scouts today at 6 p.m. And of course, one person marked that they're interested. I think it was me, and 0 people are going. I'm glad we've got more people on the call. But to geofence this, and it's really easy, you just put in the who, what, when, where. You can grab some pictures. I'll talk about where to find some good pictures and everything too. And you set up your event. And once the event is set up, you can click on this button that says Boost Event. And then it gives you a whole bunch more options. I think the minimum to boost your event. And what that does is it gets it beyond your current audience on Facebook. And you can customize your audience that you want to reach to. And it essentially becomes, it looks like someone's post in Facebook coming from your Cub Scout pack, inviting families. But from there, you can even narrow it down to parents and guardians of elementary school age kids. So that's a really good thing to do. And then you can limit the geography to like a 5-mile radius around where the event location is going to be. So $25 sort of gets you in the door. Spending $50 promoting your event is better. $100 is even better. Probably $50 is a good amount to spend on your Facebook ad buy there. So that's called geofencing. And there's an article in the resources section that walks you through how to geofence an event on a social media site. Just listed a couple other good online resources. Don't forget about Nextdoor. We have a really active one in the Seward Park neighborhood where I live. So you can take that same stuff you put in Facebook, the who, what, when, where, how, and why, and put it on Nextdoor. Let's talk about Peachjar for just a second. Let's see if I pulled up well, I don't have the thing up. There is an article in the resources section on using Peachjar. So Shoreline School District uses Peachjar. So the old, I won't say they're old, we still use them. The flyers that you would send home to kid mail, that is the Shoreline School District electronic version of sending out home a kid mail flyer, and they email the flyer as a PDF to all of the families at the school to promote community events. The Peachjar is going to cost you a little bit of money. I believe it's $25 each time you send a flyer out to every student at a particular elementary school. That's mixed results. It's just like any of these marketing items, the old school marketing folks are going to tell you that you're going to need to reach out to people, let's see, it's 7 times before it sinks in that someone is invited. So we should have listed more than 7 different things. So Peachjar can be one of those things. where you've listed that. I know G in PAC 319, she is involved in the PTA, so there's no problem for her to get that in the school newsletter. And I think she might even be the publisher of that too. So there's sometimes a PTA newsletter, there's sometimes a school newsletter. I guess on Facebook, Lake Forest Park has a Lake Forest Park Moms Facebook site. They also have a Lake Forest Park family. So you probably know what those are in your neighborhood there too. There's probably some community neighborhoods, newspaper, or neighborhood or community newspapers, blogs, things like that too. So keep an eye out for those opportunities, and they probably have an online submittal where you can get something on their calendar to go on their blog as well. Let's see. So if you got the email that I sent out inviting you to this event, I put some a nice photo from the BSA Brand Center on there. And at the BSA Brand Center, you're going to find a lot of photos. So it's like I need to log myself back in here. But I've got that listed in the resources here. And there is, I mean, look at, you got photos, billboards, email templates, flyers, posters, radio spots, there's videos, all kinds of cool stuff in there. And one thing I noticed is the photo section, they've got a section in the photos that are all Cub Scouts wearing masks, which might be good to use if you're promoting a Join Cub Scouts event this spring. That way people sort of realize right off the bat by looking at a photo that scouting is going to be a safe place for their family and their potential scouts to learn some life skills. So I'm going to point that out. There is also the membership marketing hub, and it's got a whole section on Den and Pack recruiting. That's in the resources too. Oh, how are we doing on? Oh, I'm right on time, Jeff. So to get to your section, I'm going to go through some of the, and we might be able to sort of take a pause after this if anybody has any questions about these resources or other things you've done. But there's a lot of great paper resources that we have, or physical resources that we have here at the Scout office. I held it up a second ago. These yard signs, especially right now, are just, they always have been awesome. Put them in a high traffic area. What I do is and we've got, and Jeff and I can help out with this. We've got a printer that does 11x17 paper, and I put in the biggest font that will fit in here. And then I take some packing tape, clear packing tape right over it, so it's waterproof. And with just the date, time, and location, as big as I can make it and as abbreviated as I can make it, and put those around your meeting location where people in your neighborhood can see them. And we've been successful up on Queen Anne Hill, where they keep recycling these yard signs, and they put out like 40 of them the 2 weeks before the event. And they've had up to, I think we've had up to 45 people come and join scouting at one time, which was a little overwhelming. We ran out of applications, but we'll talk about that. That won't be a problem anymore. We do have the flyers. I think in some cases, we can print off hundreds of these. We've got a template, and we've got this machine called a risograph, which is basically an old school copy machine. It costs less per page to print on these. And then we'll fill in time, date, location, who, what, when, where, how, why on the bottom here, and run it through this risograph machine. We can print off hundreds of them. If there's, some schools will put them into teachers' boxes, and we can bundle them in groups of 30. So, or however many are in each classroom at the particular school that your PAC's serving. And that's a one thing we've done forever. That's especially during the pandemic, it's probably going to be sort of few and far between that we do that. That's a great resource. Let's see. Oh, we've got a poster that sort of does the same thing. So the school's got some bulletin boards around the school to hang those up. Or other ways to get that out there. Oh, the old school stickers. So these stickers will print, you know, that who, what, when, where, how, why on here. And this is your opportunity, if you can, to go to a school or some other event where there's a lot of kids. It usually happens during a lunch hour or resource or a school assembly or something like that. It's a little hard to get arranged, but if you can do it, it's totally worthwhile. And so you show up to that event with your uniform on. Alan, our Cub Master at PAC 121, he did this brilliant thing where he showed up with a backpack, and in the backpack there was a Pinewood Derby car. He had this like cardboard campfire he set up. He pulled out a fishing pole and a couple other things like that, map and compass and stuff like that, and just sort of talked about the fun things and skills you get to learn in scouting, and then invited all the kids in the cafeteria to come the next Tuesday night to join Scouts, bring their parent or guardian. And then we went around and we gave all of the kids a sticker to put on their shirt and to go home and talk to mom and dad about joining Scouting. That is by far the most effective invitation method we have. And I noticed Stosh is on the call. Every year we give Stosh like 100 of these, they're business card size things. On the back, it's got sort of you're invited, and you can fill in some information about your pack there. It's easy to just print off a thing of labels and print off the information there. But Stosh, I can't remember what kind of dog. You've got some very large breed of dog. And so every time they walk the dog, they talk to a lot of families. So he's got these cards with him when he walks the dog. So, doing okay on time. Anybody got any other invitation methods that work really well for them, or want to let me know I'm crazy and that doesn't work, or anything like that?
I know an easy one that we have is we'll just have Google Maps. We've made our location on Google Maps because people search quite often, and that gives a nice little quick geo, and it takes just a couple minutes to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you can Google, how do I get myself on Google Maps, and that will give you directions.
Really easy.
Perfect.
Some schools might also have events too, where different organizations can come and recruit. So Helen Keller, for example, in Lake Washington School District does that early August, if I remember correctly. So other schools may do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot that one. That's a great one. And they're usually trying to reach out to you because they want a booth with some sort of activity. So I've gotten a bunch of construction paper and some rolls of tape, and we've made stomp rockets at one of those events. And every kid sees the stomp rocket going up, and then they want to go build one. Or you can bring, a section of Pinewood Derby track or rain gutter regatta, and kids come by and blow on the boats, and you get a chance to talk to mom and dad about joining Scouts. So that's a great way to do that. Thanks for bringing that up, Heath.
I might mention that several PACs know somebody with at least somebody, right, within the school. And this is, of course, it's going to be post-COVID. When we can do some of that stuff. But I think last year's membership training, someone in a PAC mentioned that they would stand outside each classroom with a green fluorescent shirt and talk to the Scouts as they came in and out, and gave one of those stickers that John showed everyone. So we might not be able to do that everywhere, but they sure had some great luck with it.
Yeah. And on all these physical resources, we've got stacks of those here at the office. So reach out to Jeff and I, and we'll get you hooked up with them, and we'll even print them, and we might even drive out to your house and deliver them and everything too. So, we've the pandemic has hit Cub Scouting the hardest. I think that everybody's sort of feeling that it's hard to engage virtually a family with young kids, and especially, you know, the numbers really sort of fall off as you get to tigers and lions and stuff like that. I think it's a little easier to engage maybe a second grader and older. So we really need everybody's help with sort of building this back as we're able to meet together more and sort of get away from some virtual meetings and meet with more people. So.
I had another quick question. I know there
Yeah.
were several PACs that did not re-register, and I don't know if you've reached out and figured out which ones are coming back and which ones aren't. But do we have a list of, if, like you mentioned before, you had a list of people that had registered in 19 but not in 20, or 20 but not in 22, or whatever the thing
Mhm.
was? If there's not a PAC associated with those, do you have a way to go and possibly say, here's the nearest PAC?
Yeah, and there's one in your
Hmm?
neighborhood that met at Wedgwood Presbyterian Church, and that's the only PAC, at least in Aurora District, that is a bygone after starting in 2021. So I
We also
can.
had the one up at St. Matthews, I believe, ended up dying in 2020.
Oh, that's a long bygone. So at least 2 years now.
Yeah. But I just didn't know if we had any refugees that were not associated with a particular PAC.
Yeah. And, you know, actually that one, we got them picked up in a couple of the people that were still around, got picked up in a couple of PAC. I think we did a pretty good job on St. Matthews. So anyway. Well, Jeff, let me turn it over to you so you can talk about, you know, some ideas for some fun events where you can get people together. And I think on, you know, all these invitation methods, I'll preface this by saying it's good to have a dated event to do this. Don't just put, I mean, you could just put your phone number on one of these signs and, you know, hopefully people call you or something like that. But you're going to be a lot more effective having a dated event where you're inviting people to, even if it's online. So, all right, with that, Jeff, take it over.
Sure. So I've kind of broken these down into 4 stations. One is to welcome families, and I don't know about you guys, but that's a really important thing, that when families get there, we're able to be enthusiastic and have someone fun that can welcome them. That's kind of setting the standard, right? The second station would be share a PAC story. The third might be, you know, help them complete the applications for the parents and the youth. And station 4 is kind of now what? And so I thought I'd go through these a little bit. Really with 3 takeaways, kind of like when kids sign up for soccer, right? They show up, they meet the coaches. In this case, they're going to meet the volunteers. Going to get an idea of what scouting is all about, and then they're going to register. So those 3 takeaways are kind of key. And you know, sometimes we may try to make it a little more complicated, and it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. But I'll kind of jump into this. Station 1, granted, and these are set to be able to work outside, maybe in a park. The agenda could probably work during a Zoom meeting as well. If you're going to meet at a park, I guess before I talk about station 1 is make sure to get there on time. All right. You don't want 12 parents staring at you while you're trying to, you know, set up a table, ask people, you know, track down card readers, whatever it is. So be ready to go when the folks get there, and that'll pay dividends. So greeting families is number 1. That's pretty key. The second is we want a takeaway, and that is a sign-in sheet. The reason we'd like everyone to sign in is there might be some people that leave without being registered. And we want to make sure that we're able to follow up with everybody to make sure that you guys are able to get enough adult volunteers as well as youth at all the age levels. So that's key. Make sure to give a copy of the sign-in sheet to your district executive, and there's one for the PAC as well. Of course, this is the time to distribute any handouts. John, what was the name of the one we always hand out? Is it Cub Scout Family Resources, or I think it's green?
Yeah,
or
so a couple other resources. Well, we already talked about the sign-in sheet here, but I've got them right here. We do have these little envelopes. They've got some cool colorful pictures and everything, and a little bit of onboarding information on here. But we do have a sort of onboarding booklet called Welcome to the Adventure Cub Scout, a guide for new families. It gives people some basic information on Cub Scouting, sort of, so you can keep the orientation, so you don't have to tell the London Fog story or anything like that at your joining meeting. There's a sample Boys Life. I'm sure that they're going to give us some sample Scouts Life magazine. So since I just changed the name of the magazine, and then we still have the old school paper application too. So sometimes these are great to have because sometimes the digital resources may or may not work for everybody.
Nice. I love it when we can hand out a kit, right? That's impressive. That's what we want. A couple more things on station number 1. Tell them about how the night's going to progress. There's 4 stations. You guys don't have 4. You can add another station or 2. That's fine. And then let them know before they go to station number 2 that we'd like to make sure that they complete the sign up or registration process. So along they go to station number 2. And this really is the PAC's time to shine. Make sure maybe you can have a PAC video there of a fun and exciting activity, either at camp or something else that the PAC did during the year. It's also key, you guys, to have that PAC calendar. People want to join something that's organized, right? Who wouldn't? They don't want to go into like a slipshod operation where they don't have this stuff. So a PAC calendar along with contact information for all the adults is key, as well as I'd have a schedule. When are DENS meeting? Where are they meeting? What time are they meeting? That sort of thing can pay dividends down the road. What else did I write? Talk about the uniform, I guess, where they can get it. All right. People have questions about that all the time. On to station 3. This is when we help the the parents complete those applications. People have questions about them. If we're talking about paper applications, right, it's tried and true. If you're going that route, make sure to have pens. It's no fun to not have them, as well as a card reader or several card readers if you're going that route. You could also, take the email addresses from those sign-in sheets, and at station 3, send people an email to the link to online registration, and they would have that as a takeaway. They used to be, back in the day, it was all paper apps. Kind of gone away from that a little bit, but it still is a tried and true method. Talk about the fees. I don't know how John feels about this, but I always had a pretty good luck collecting those the prorated fee, right? Before you guys recharter. I don't have the fee chart in front of me, but there's going to be an amount, let's just say between September and December. I have no idea, guys. Let's say it's $50. Go ahead and charge that prorated fee. And then when rechartering comes around, you only have to collect for 2022. And it really does make it a lot easier. Station 4, I called Now What? All right, so people met a few people. They know a little bit about scouting. They signed up. You guys, station 4 needs to be clutch, because we found out that what's the percentage, John? Like 50% of Tigers who sign up kind of leave by the following year. And the reason is that no one gave them a meeting to go to. The PAC is kind of finding its sea legs, and maybe it takes 4 or 5 months, and families kind of find other things to do. So make sure you have a calendar with meeting date about a week after your joining activity. All right. Also have den leaders or other PAC personnel online, or available to answer questions. It's kind of a final activity under that station 4. I didn't list any time parameters on these stations. Some may take 5, some may take 15. You guys can decide that for your own units. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, we want parents walking away happy. We want them pleased that they joined scouting, right? And so John's going to talk about onboarding and stuff like that. But during these stations, it's also an opportunity for you guys to kind of scan the audience and kind of maybe determine who might be a good Cub master or who could be a good committee chair or den leader. And so you can certainly make those notes as well. I made a few a few other things. I think I mentioned them all. You guys, what do you have to offer? Maybe you guys have some notes on how you had a joining activity or what you did.
Hey, Tyler, I'll call on you. I helped you pack 850 with a really cool one at Hamlin Park. I think we're really successful with signing up a lot of the families that were there. But I thought it was really cool how you organized it, where families came to the welcome table right away and they essentially got a scavenger hunt card and went around to some different stations. Do you want to say anything about that?
Sure. That was back in the good old days when we were live and in person and talking to each other. I think we just gave them a few different stations to go to kind of make sure they were, I don't know, connecting with all the right folks and giving us the right info. I don't have that in front of me, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was like, make sure you sign up, make sure you meet your den leader, or maybe before that, make sure you know what a den is, and which one your kid might be in. And then I think at the end of it, it was make sure you get a hot dog and dessert and go play on the playground. So we also had, there wasn't a specific activity for it. It was a barbecue at a park with a playground. So the kids it was really nice. Now that I remember that, like, it seems so long ago, right? Just hanging out with families at a barbecue. But yeah, I thought that was really effective.
Yeah.
We also did our popcorn kickoff at that event. I would not recommend that.
Fall. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the fall. That might not be the best intro to scouting. Maybe save that for the next meeting. That'd be my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and I remember that one because I think that a lot of packs, now that we can have 50 people outdoors, you might want to find a place outdoors in the schoolyard, in the park. I know Phil, our Cub Master for Pack 321, lives on one of those streets that is closed for the safe street. So they had their rain gutter regatta in front of the Cub Master's house, which made the commute easy for his family, but it was a closed street and it was just a ton of fun and everything. And they invited some families to come out and join and check out the rain gutter regatta and build a boat there right in the street in front of his house. So I just sort of thought of that event being at Hamlin Park as something that we could pull off right now. Yeah,
I would agree. It's not, it wasn't, except for the food part, I'm not quite sure about. That was a nice feature of it. But otherwise, yeah. Oh, we did a similar one. It wasn't a recruiting event though, although looking back, it probably could have been. We just did a scavenger hunt an actual scavenger hunt in Hamlin Park. Gave the kids a little handout and, they were near each other, but not actually in the same spot. They were roaming around with a buddy or two and tracking down crows and squirrels and moss and ferns. And then just being done with the evening. It was nice.
Fantastic. Anybody else got any other cool ones that they've done or an activity that worked for being sort of an anchor point for that joining meeting?
Our pack invites people to the end of the year rocket launch. That's how I ended up joining, or my family did. Yeah.
Fantastic. I remember helping Tyler at Pack 850. I think that was a spring joining meeting. if a family came and signed up, we gave them a rocket kit and they could come to the rocket launch the next week. So,
Yeah,
I think
oh,
those
rockets are
resources
awesome.
built it.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So I think a lot of these things you can sort of tie into something that you've already got planned. I think is such a too.
So
Say, John,
have you all
one thing
have,
go ahead.
have you all had good success with actually joining meetings in the spring? Traditionally, we've always done it closer to the fall, but it sounds like some of you are doing this even earlier.
I would say that a lot of our PACs do both a spring and a fall joining meeting, and you can have success either time or both times even. That's been my
So you don't lose too many in the
experience.
summer then.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go into resident camp and you're doing at least 2 other things in the summer, you shouldn't lose people over the summer.
Oh, sorry, I meant
Right.
like new recruits, not existing ones, but it sounds like
Right.
you're also recruiting in the spring. So
Yeah.
the rate of return is pretty decent then.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose some people, obviously, but I think the majority of them, you hang on. I don't think it really matters when you recruit them, as long as you've got a plan for recruiting them as often as you can, you know, in reality. All right. Well, let's spend a little bit of time talking about follow-up. I think we've got that covered. So the old sign-in sheet, you know, in this sort of new world where people are becoming a little more tech savvy and they've got their phone in their pocket all the time, at that welcome station, instead of having them physically sign a sign-in sheet, you could have a QR code where you scan that with your phone and then you fill in the sign-in sheet on your phone, and it leads right into that invitation manager. But you could just take the sign-in sheet and you can put those into the invitation manager after the event too. So, and that way you can send people applications. Be good if during the event, an invitation manager, if you've got a tablet there where you can actually send them the invitation. Did I show you guys that earlier? So, oh yeah, here for the one in PAC 850, there's a button right there where you can just send them the invitation there, or send them the application to fill out. So, or, you know, it'll be at the same, you can use the same QR code to fill out an application from there too. So
quick question on that, the QR code, there is something as obvious in the website on here's where you go to print that out.
yeah, you know, there are some directions on where to find the QR codes,
Okay.
but you could go to, let me find it here. Oh, you could just take these URLs, the copy of the link address, and you could make your own QR codes for the request more information, and also for the apply now.
Could you show your screen? So we did
Oh,
something like that. We took one of the
My
links.
bad.
I was gonna say, we took one of the links which had a lot of query parameters in it, and we found that there was an inconsistent experience. So I'm wondering if there's different links you're showing. Yeah, so I right clicked on like apply now, made a short link out of it or a QR code, but
Yeah,
they didn't seem to be stable.
yeah, they may change over time. I would do it right before the event or something. In let's see if I've got it up here. Oh, here. And I put this page in your resources section, information about online registration for councils and unit leaders. There is somewhere buried in all of the, oh yeah, there is using URLs and QR codes. There's a whole section on it right there. That's the resource. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole of how to do it. So yeah, thanks for reminding me to share my screen there.
The other question I had with that, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
and this has been a while, so I don't really remember that. Can we set our own registration fee? Because none of the adults in our thing really want to go and pimp the popcorn. And so we just go and say, you know, pay us $125 registration. and we're not going to go and turn your kids into the Amway salesman of the future. And most people, parents are willing to do that. And then we have a little scholarship fund if families can't afford that. So is there a way to go and set that and then get the differential between the registration and yours back to our accounts to manage and supplies and all that?
Sort of, and no, is the quick answer to it. So when a family signs up and uses the online registration system, it's going to charge the national registration fees, the council insurance fee, there's Scouts Life magazine. If they're a brand new scout, it's going to charge them the new member fee. And is there something I'm forgetting? It'll charge them all of that, but it's going to put, it's also going to say you're probably going to owe some local unit dues. So you're going to have to tell people your local unit dues paid directly to the PAC, you know, and we can swipe your credit card reader for that. That might be safe, maybe collecting those for your onboarding meeting or something like that, or you could actually move that online to probably using Square, or whatever you guys use for Zelle for your PAX bank account for that. But the place to, I will show you where to set that up. I think I can get to it sort of fairly quickly here. If the loading scripts thing doesn't keep spinning for 500 hours here. It's going to be in menu, and then you're going to go to where it says roster, and then you're going to go to unit, or no, I'm sorry. It's going to be, oh, I've got to go to an actual PAC here. Sorry, I have the whole district here. Let's pick on PAC 100 here. And oh, and then email settings, you're gonna so there's gonna be a series of onboarding emails that families get, and I included those in the resources so you can get a preview of what those are. But you're gonna want to make sure that that's, unless your PAC has created its own series of onboarding emails, there's some nice ones that, like, hey, you're welcome, you're in this kind of den, here are some of the adventures you'll be working on, here's where you get your uniform, go through some of the terminology of scouting. So you probably want to click on here to get those welcome emails. And then I think if you click on this fee emails, you can have some additional explanations of what your local PAC dues are and how to collect those. That answer your question, Rick? Sort of, yeah. It's not perfect.
More or less. Yeah, just anytime you have to go and ask somebody for money twice versus once, it just makes things that much more difficult.
Yep. Yeah, and fortunately, we've got this collection system where the local PAC treasurer doesn't have to be to go between with getting us a check for all the new scouts that you registered and stuff like that too. So, yeah. At least it's getting there. So we did talk about the onboarding emails. I think that was, oh yeah, it's sort of here's, and this is in the resources section, but you're going to start, new families will start getting these onboarding emails, which is really nice. But as far as onboarding for your PAC, you're probably going to want to have your own sort of series of onboarding information with calendar, local information, local dues, and stuff like that. And it's good to have an onboarding meeting sometime after this joining meeting. And that's where you can start letting people know, hey, we really need a Cub Master, and start that conversation there too and answer questions. And that's something easy enough to do that meeting on Zoom a little bit too. So we are at, hey, we're right on time at 6:51. And so we've got, 8 or 9 more minutes for questions here. And I'm amazed we kept this under an hour. So
I like talking, so I'll ask the next question.
sure. And I'll go through the chat here. Or Jeff, you want to go through the chat and we can answer some questions that wound up in the chat, because I've been talking a lot and haven't monitored that. So go ahead, Rick.
So do we have, I know on the Scout form, there used to be at least a place where you go put what school the people are in. Do we have that in the information? Because not this year, but the last year, I would have called every school that was kind of in our geo zone. And a lot of the private schools wouldn't talk to anybody that didn't have a kid in them. So a lot of them said, if you have a parent that comes here, they can bring us flyers, but I couldn't.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And that information goes into the computer. And I'm not sure how easy that information is to get out of the computer. So let me figure out if there's a way to do that. So I'm gonna find the old-fashioned pen and write that down, Rick. But that's a good one.
Also, I'm very happy to help in that if you want. This is kind of what I do, is deal with data a lot. So if there's any questions, I'm more than happy. Just feel free to call.
Yeah, I think we've got a report that that basically spills out everything into a giant Excel spreadsheet for your pack. And I can run that. And I think that's where I can extract the school information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second, going along with that is, do you have something where these schools should associate with this pack to make sure that we're either not duplicating effort or just missing a school because we assume that another pack is going and really actively recruiting from a particular school?
Yeah, did talk with me or Jeff on that, because you know, with new packs coming on board and with some packs being a bygone and stuff, sometimes that's a little bit of a changing ball game and everything too. So probably talk to Jeff and I on that.
Okay. The third
Yeah,
question in
communication
there-
is key.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, we don't want to step on our own toes.
well, more than that, we
I mean,
want to
the
make
same-
sure that we're not missing,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
because Hazel Wolf, which is very close to us, one of the teachers is a mom in another pack. And so she very heavily recruits from Hazel Wolf,
Mhm.
which is totally fine. I just want to make sure we're not missing John Rogers or Olympic View or something like that, because everybody thinks somebody else is doing it. Likewise, do we have any outreach to any daycare, especially if we're going and trying to recruit in Lions? Do we have any way to know what families were associated with any of the different daycares? Do they fill any of that in for school? If they're a Lion, oh, they went to this particular daycare, as a way to potentially reach out to those orgs to see if we can go and get some flyers or whatever there as well.
We do not collect that information from the applications. So yeah, we wouldn't be able to provide that data. You'd have to probably figure that out locally in your pack there. But I think that that's a good opportunity to choose Google Maps and see what, and just daycares near me. And that's probably another good resource for getting some flyers out, especially if they serve kindergarten and first grade age youth.
Hey, you guys, here are a few things from the chat. Keith said our biggest recruiters have historically been kids themselves. Consider stickers and other things kids can hand out with more information to give to parents. And that's a tried and true success right there. And peer-to-peer recruiting is hard to replace. So thanks, Keith, for bringing that up.
I'll tag on that. I went to PAC 100's joining meeting, I think a little over a year ago. And probably half the families that were there knew one guy that was the den leader. And obviously that was a guy that was the proponent of scouting in the neighborhood. I mean, it was amazing. So that's probably that, and being able to come during the lunch hour and hand out stickers and bring your backpack of fun with all the stuff in it. Those are the best.
And another way to do peer-to-peer might be, well, in a Zoom world, it may be a little more difficult, but ask the kids for names of their friends and then kind of go around and build that into an alpha roster and assign names for who's going to contact which friend. You could even make homemade invitations and I guess electronically send them to the parents of those kids. If we're in school, maybe take a physical copy and just make a simple invite. You're invited to our meeting. It's going to be a blast. See you there. Whatever.
And that's a good one. It reminds me of another one. This might be a unicorn, but when I was in elementary school a long time ago, there was a school roster with phone numbers, and I don't think email addresses even existed back then, but that might be a unicorn that exists at your school that you might be able to get your hands on, especially if it's like a private school or something like that.
You know, one thing I did mention that I had on my notes was to, you know, in your planning for your joining effort, just have a goal. Maybe take a look at your pack and any age gaps you guys might have. Maybe it's in lions, bears, whatever it is, and just kind of have a goal and come up with a simple plan to address that. And we've really found that pack, we kind of have a membership champion, are going to drive it, tend to be a little more successful when it comes to both recruiting more adults and youth.
Did we have any other questions in the chat there, Jeff? Did we? Oh, you muted yourself, actually.
Rookie move. But Cliff said he's doing Peach Jar right now and he could share the template if anybody wants it.
Yeah, and there's some electronic flyers that are PDFs that are perfect for Peach Jar that are in that membership marketing hub that I put in the resources there too. So. Anybody up? Well, we got one more minute. Anybody want to shout out some other questions or cool things that they've done?
What are you doing in terms of like Google Ads and that sort of stuff? Are you going and actively driving traffic to beascout.org on a district level?
Our national organization does that. They do all the Google ad buys and everything. So anytime, probably if you Google Cub Scouts near me, the first thing that's going to pop up is beascout.org. Okay. So we've got some national marketing that's some of your national fees are going toward helping out with that, keeping that visibility going. All right. Well, cool. I think that makes a wrap. I did thank you for spending an hour with us. I thought that was a really productive meeting. And so, hey, thank you all for going out and getting some new families in scouting. It was so important to me growing up, just some of the life skills and values that I acquired. And so that's why I'm here helping you guys with getting new families involved in scouting and helping you out with your programs. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for being here, you guys. There's nothing like seeing a couple kids join Scouts and get back in their van with their handbook and all fired up and ready to go. So this is the first step. So thanks so much.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, John.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, it's good to see you, David Lee. Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Still kind of hanging out at home because there really isn't much to go out to these days.